Hi everybody, welcome to Cooking with Gina. My name is Gina Virginia Casella. Please like and subscribe to my YouTube at Gina Virginia Casella. And I'd love for you to join my Facebook group, Present Moment Alchemy. So today, what's cooking? Not really sure, as per usual. But I do have an idea, also as per usual. I'm just noticing, got a big line of makeup here. I really don't care about hair and makeup, but I notice it, I'll fix it. So this is unedited, unscripted, of course. And today I'm going to make a soup. I want to keep it thin. I've got some potatoes here that are starting to go bad. So I separated them. So this would be an ideal time to make something like pierogies, but I'm not sure about the cheese factor yet. So I think maybe tomorrow or something I'll make potato wedges, maybe potato pancakes. I don't know, but potatoes are going to be highlighted given the situation. And these potatoes, I think what I'd like to do with them is keep some and cut them in like big coins instead of wedges, and put some Biscuit on it. I've been really enjoying the Biscuit lately. I think I just go through phases where I enjoy deep fried foods, and I haven't been having that lately. And using the Biscuit reminds me of like that experience, and it's almost too easy. So I'm the kind of person, sometimes I do things, it's like a one-off, but then other times I go through phases and I just keep doing it. And I'm noticing my lighting is at the, well, I shouldn't say wrong setting, but at a different setting than I usually have it at. There it is. I don't know, still figuring this out. I've been doing Cooking with Gina for about, anyway, so yeah, I want to coin some of this, put it in the oven with some Biscuit on it, but then I want to shred the rest into my soup. That's my plan, at least right now. But I've been doing Cooking with Gina for about a month now, and the reason I started doing it, the very short of the very long, is because I wanted to um, give my clients some homework to do, and part of the homework was going to be for them to create little video blogs and whatnot, take pictures about something that brings them joy, and to stick to it for like, a 21-day cycle, if they wanted to make it a 30-day challenge, whatever, but really focusing on what brings them joy and doing it every day. So that's what I've been role modeling, and also exploring the vegan cuisine. So I'm enjoying this process, but I'm not sure how much longer I'll do it. Let me know in the comments. Do you feel like I should keep doing Cooking with Gina? Even if nobody views my videos, I feel like I might just keep posting them anyways. It's nice to have a little video bank, if you will, accumulating. And I would like to start a cookbook, and I think it would be cool to put in the cookbook, what's it called? Like the QR code. That way, if people wanted to watch the video, they could. I always tend to do too much. So I think I might just put a QR code for the whole like vegan Cooking with Gina playlist, if I can do that. And then folks can just find stuff as they may. I also think it's going to be really cool in like 40 years from now for me to look back on these videos. Every now and then I look back on the videos I created from Miss Casella's classroom, which I almost took down, and I also almost didn't even create them, but I'm telling you, I really enjoy watching those videos. Sometimes I feel like those messages I'm sending out to the universe are actually messages that I need to hear again, and I can't seem to hear them enough. So let me know in the comments what brings you joy. If you wanted to create some kind of video, I'd love to hear about it, your own little challenges. And I'm going to get busy now. I've already washed this, but I'm going to get busy just sorting through the potatoes. I'll be right back. So if you're wondering what I'm drinking today, I'm drinking some Miller High Life. It's pretty good. It's nice and cold. It's just a nice generic lager to enjoy. What do you like to enjoy? My favorite beer is Coors Light, and pretty much just like the lagers. I don't mind I'll have like one Guinness a year, but I can't appreciate the malty ones. I love going to, like wine tasting and beer tasting and just having like little sample glasses. And sooner or later, I'd like to have some company over and just do that at home. Then, people don't have to worry about drinking and driving. Not that we would be getting shittered or anything, but just, as safety and to enjoy like appetizers. And I'm wondering, like, what do you do with company? And it's always nice to go camping because then everybody just has like their own tent or trailer to stay in. And that would be ideal, actually. Never mind having company over. Let's go camping and everybody stay in their own trailers. And I want to stay in the cabin. When I was a kid, we used to go hardcore camping. We would take a boat. Like we would stay in a tent, but my parents went through this phase when we were preteens, and we would actually take a boat at Nighthawk or White Duck, it was called, and we would go on this boat, and then we'd have to get out of our little tin boat and help my dad move it over the beaver dam that was inside this like tunnel that trains would go over. But there were no trains that went in that area. I don't know why that tunnel was there actually. Maybe at one point it did have trains, but this was like isolated northeastern Ontario. And we'd go fishing on an island, and it was really, really great. And we always brought like lots of food to eat, just like, canned good non-perishable items, but we always caught fish, like always. And in fact, we would catch so much fish as soon as you would put your line in, you'd be pulling fish out. So anyways, I'm just wondering if you can relate. And these days, I'm all about glamping. How about you? And I like putting my beer in a glass. It makes me feel dainty, but whatever. How about you? How do you like to drink your beer? There's this one restaurant I'd go to with my friends, and what did they call them? Tankers. And it was a beer. It was like this big. And when you'd go to drink it, like for me anyways, I could feel it like I had to like really put effort in and get my whole arm and shoulder into it, and I could feel it like in my back trying to hold the tanker, and it'd be like two-handing it. And I'm wondering if you've ever had a tanker. Um, anyways, I'm gonna actually get back to chopping these potatoes. Oh, and from your perspective, I paused it and came back, but behind the scenes here, I spent a good like 20 minutes trying to find a can opener or a bottle opener, and I couldn't find one, so I just was prying it with the knife, and that worked. So speaking about camping, everything is like camping, and that's exactly what cooking with Gina is. Just it's like camping, you make do with what you have. And as I was just starting to chop away here, I was wondering, bring it closer to me, what do you do with your potatoes? Had a little conversation about bread the other day. Depending on the mold or whatever, it's kind of like a case by case scenario. But I'm wondering, like, food appreciation, like potatoes are pretty good, but if you cut it like this and it's brown inside, to me that's garbage. Sometimes you can just tell by the way it feels. I think about things like the potato famine. That was really scary because I don't remember the name of the book, but I was teaching on call early in my career, and one of the books was highlighting the potato famine, and it was a story that reflected a true story, lots of true stories about children who they needed to know the ways of knowing, and certain times a year they had to get the potatoes ready, and during the potato famine, it didn't seem like, it didn't matter what anybody did. It was just like all the potatoes were molding, And initially, folks weren't overly concerned about it because potatoes, they mold and then basically just put them in the ground and forget about them and they do their magic. But the thing with the potato famine was they weren't doing their magic because the mold was just overriding all the potatoes and people started starving. And so, I don't know, was thinking about that randomly. I'm wondering what you think about. We're a story species, and I love sharing stories and how things connect. But I'm wondering, just going back to these potatoes here, is it like banana bread for you when it comes to making pierogies? Do you just kind of wait to see if it's time to make pierogies because the state of the potatoes, just like you might wait for the opportunity to make banana bread if you notice your bananas are ripening, or maybe if you notice your bread is going moldy, you'll dry it and make dried breadcrumbs or dried garlic bread. That way you have some stuff on hand for croutons or stuffing. So yeah, I'm just wondering, I love talking about cooking and I like talking about keeping it easy. Easy peasy lemon squeezy in the kitchen. And I thought this might take me longer to chop up, but it didn't. So I also have this bok choy. The saga continues. If you're not aware, the fridge that we bought, we were all excited and we filled it right up with beautiful fresh produce, but the temperature, it was too low. And I was noticing in other videos, I said it was too high, but really it was too low because it was too cold in the fridge. So we lost a lot of vegetables. And I thought these bok choy were okay, but it looks like they're not. I had to throw one out. It was all icy looking. And so I think this would complement my soup, but I'm going to worry about those later because the potatoes are harder, right? And the bok choy, I'll probably add that right at, the last 10 minutes. And I also forgot to mention, I've got some leftover, well, not leftover, but I have some extra spaghetti, and I wouldn't mind breaking up the spaghetti noodles into smaller noodles and then just having that floating around. So when I add the spaghetti, I'll probably add the bok choy, and I just want this to be like a thin soup, So let me know what's on your mind. So I just thought it was really cute and special that some of my former students are watching my videos. So hi to you. It really means a lot to me. And I think it would be funny in a positive way, and you have my permission if you wanted to create some kind of parody of Cooking with Gina. I thought maybe, just some of the things that I said in the classroom that I say here. All those little stories that I tell, how you could resonate with them. And, this isn't like a cooking show teaching you how to cook. It's just me sharing my information with you. But I thought it was really special. And, children are the future. So I'm wondering, things have a way of cycling back too. And I think it's really cool that some of the parents are going to be watching these videos too, if they haven't already, and just thinking back to oh, I remember Miss Casella. Yep, Miss Casella, putting, social emotional learning every month, sending home a little classroom newsletter, and the things that I would put in there, and doing the land acknowledgement, and being part of the executive committee for the Langley Teachers Association. And I'd let the parents know, sometimes I miss school because I wasn't feeling well, but if I knew I was going to be away, I'd let the parents know. It just seemed to, as far as classroom management went, it seemed to help out if they knew I was going to be away. It was like they would warn them a different teacher will come in today. And it was nice to have the opportunity to request the same teachers to come in and fill in for me. And then if they couldn't make it, it was always nice to have somebody random come in. And it was really inspiring when I was teaching on call to visit other classrooms, and the teachers who covered for me, they always felt inspired by the resources I provided and just the way I organized my classroom. And so there's just so much to resonate in, right? So anyways, I'm just wondering, I was going to say, like, if I knew I was going to be away, it was because I had a meeting. Um, there was 2 years in a row, I was the district professional development chair. So guaranteed I'd be away one day a month, that there was such a demand. And I'm one of those people that I really put like the like the teachers associations community first, because there was all this money available to teachers for their professional development, but they couldn't access it. So I was like making it a point for them to access. And so I would often be taking 2 to 3 days off in a row just to be doing that. Um, and then the parents were just like interested, like, what are you doing and how do you advocate? And I would go to Vancouver, and one time I went to Victoria for the AGM, the annual general meeting, and I made speeches in front of my colleagues. There's like 1,000 of us there, and I just can't even begin to tell you how exciting it was getting up there and shitting bricks, and all in the name of public education, and really just resonating with my colleagues. And just what an incredible experience. And I always felt like the parents were, they were rooting for me. And just, looking back, I was really enjoying the present moment. And so I didn't take a lot of pictures. But now I'm like, maybe I should have taken more pictures, or just even facilitating at the Langley Golf Center. I never took any pictures of me doing that. If anybody has any pictures of me, send them my way. I'd love to have them. I facilitated for colleagues all over the Lower Mainland, mostly in like the Vancouver to, Abbotsford, Coquitlam, Chilliwack area, that whole like Delta, that whole strip. And it was a great way to travel. So it was volunteer, but because it was volunteer, the members picked up my tab to stay in a hotel, and they paid for me for my gas money. And those days that I had to take time off work to do some stuff behind the scenes, I still got paid for my time, and the district paid for a TTOC to cover me as a teacher. So I just really learned the value of unions and the power of people coming together, and the need um, for people to come together, and the need for professional development. And see, now I'm just passionately talking here, but I was at a point in my career where I was advocating personal development was professional development, that they were one and the same. Because a lot of colleagues would submit um, personal development, and we would decline their applications because we had to follow like a framework. And I would always advocate that we needed to change that. Like, I don't think we should be paying for colleagues to have manicures and massages and whatnot, but paying for a colleague to learn something really interesting. As far as spiritualism went as well, that was always kind of the fine line. Like, is it spiritualism? Is it, personal development? Is it professional development? And then the Indigenous lens was, in my opinion, making it easier to have those conversations that, yes, we need to be doing these things. And of course, things like chakras and whatnot. We're not allowed to talk about spiritualism with the students because it was public education. But for what it's worth, like, um, spiritualism is part of wellness. And also, um, if it's going to help the teacher stay well at teaching, then we should support stuff like that. So the teacher is not just learning about, things that are in the curriculum, but also learning about themselves, putting themselves first. Because if the teachers are well, the teachers can go to work. They don't have to call in sick and whatnot. Some school districts have like 15 to 20 sick days, and everybody's excited about that. And it's like, are you are you planning to be sick a lot? That's not a good sign. That's not a good sign, you know? And anyways, I always have so much to say about it, like I always do, that I just wanted to share a final thought that teachers, something I really appreciated was professional autonomy. Here in Canada, we have a curriculum to follow. So, like, in kindergarten, you don't have a choice. You have to teach the kids 2D and 3D shapes, for example. But how you teach them 2D and 3D shapes, that's up to you, the teacher. which is something I really resonated in, was that professional autonomy. But the thing is, with the professional autonomy came the opportunity to decorate your classroom the way you wanted. So if it's not a coincidence, like teachers who were super into gardening, they had lots of gardening stuff in their classroom. When it came to the curriculum, that they reflected as much as they possibly could with gardening. If there was a teacher who was into hockey, that was very clear in their classroom. If there was a teacher that was interested in astrology, they had that in their classroom. It wasn't a coincidence. And so for me, that's where the personal development would weave with the professional development. And that's what social emotional learning is all about, because once you check off that list, being self-regulated, having food, being secure, like the 4 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic, and self-regulation, those things are only possible if folks are in a good place. So if students are to be in a good place and there's so much focus on the children, well, you know what? We need to actually turn the camera and focus it on the adults. We have to focus it on the parents, focus it on the teacher, so that they have the time and energy to do all these amazing things. And so anyways, the teacher in me just thought in this moment I would show you that when you're cutting an onion, at least for me, I cut it like this. And I know you can't see now because my hand is over it, but that's what I do. And then I turn it, and then I start chopping it so it's squared. And the trick that I learned over the years is with your knife, you go down. Before I used to cut like this, or I used to try and chop. But now I just out of habit do that. And then when you get to this part where the onion is like too small and not really holding, you just flip it. And then it's easier. And so there you go. So I'm wondering about you, and if you're one of my students or one of the parents. I'm so pleased that you're watching. Let me know in the comments. And I'm going to move on. The beer's really hitting the spot. Today's another hot one. Okay, so I'm just adding my onions to my pot, which I'm realizing you can't see, but it's there. And I'm wondering too, if you've ever advocated for anything or made a speech, let me know. I'd love to hear about it in the comments. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shred up some of these potatoes. So maybe I need wheels on this tripod. So I got this huge shredder. So I'm just literally going to shred away, and I will be right back. Okay, so I've got my potatoes shredded here, and I'm just going to add them into my pot. I was just starting to get a little shredding happy, and I had to stop myself. I thought about shredding all of the potatoes and then making like, patties out of them, some kind of like hash brown. But I want to enjoy like the potatoes for what they are, with the biscuit, just slicing them into big coins. So anyways, I am going to fill my pot up with water, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got this filled up with water. The onions all floated to the top, and the potatoes, they're staying at the bottom. So there's a little science experiment for you. I remember one time I covered for a teacher early in my career, and thankfully she had it all planned out in advance, and thankfully the parent helpers who were supposed to come all came. But she did this thing where like she would take pumpkins and different kinds of squash and see if the kids, they would have to predict if it would float or not. And a lot of teachers do that. I never did it. I just thought it was overwhelming. And anyways, you're just bringing back a memory there. So anyways, I'm going to turn this on high, and I always add cold water. So now I'm just going to slice my potatoes into coins. Okay, so I coined my potatoes, and upon reflection, I probably should have coined them first, because then the little pieces that are left, I can shred those and add them to my soup. So anyways, that was a learning curve for me, and all part of the MacGyver ways of knowing in the kitchen. So I'm just going to shred up the little pieces. Okay, so I'm just adding my shredded potatoes to the pot. Give it a little stir. And in case you're wondering, I left the potato skins on. All right, I'm gonna get my biscuit together. All right, so I greased up my tray here with some canola oil, and what I'm gonna do, I might need to get another tray, but we'll see. We'll see how things go with the spacing. So in case you're wondering, I'm using Betty Crocker Biscuit. I really like it. I've used Biscuit in the past, but not like I've been using it these days. Usually I just, make my own flour mix of things. And it's really nice having stuff like this available. So I think what I want to do is just, I don't know, I think I'm going to season the Biscuit, or should I season the potatoes? I don't know. What do I do? I definitely want to season them with salt and pepper when they come out. I just get the vibe I should put salt on them now and put salt in the Biscuit. I should probably pepper them now. And I'm going to add some garlic powder to them now. Almost at the end of this pepper here. It's Kirkland brand. And I'm not going to wet the potatoes before I dip them in the Biscuit. It's just going to be whatever it is. So I'm just going to give them a little mix here with each other. It's like camping. Ideally, I would have put this in a bowl, which I do have lots of, and then I just would have tossed it to mix this around. But whatever. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is just, well, I should probably mix up my little Biscuit mix here. I'm just going to dump it, and then that's it. Put it on the tray. Not too exciting, but it moves fast. So some people, when they're watching cooking videos, they like watching this kind of stuff. Let me know if you do in the comments. Some pieces are bigger than others. Initially, when I first started cutting them, I was cutting them a bit too thin. And look at me double timing. So when I put it in the Biscuit, I'm just pressing it a little bit. I don't know how much I put in there, maybe a good cup, and a little is really going a long way. It looks like I'm gonna have to get another tray, so I'll just move my camera so you can see. That's tray number 1. Looks pretty good. And I'm gonna get another tray now. Okay, so I got another tray here. Just adding some canola oil to it. Give it the little rub down. All right. So just to continue here with my potatoes. And I feel like I'm going to need a little bit more Biscuit, but I'm going to see. I'm going to see if I can just stretch out this little bit here, the last of it. I think I'm out of Biscuit here. Arguably, I had just enough. There's a little bit of Biscuit here on the cutting board. So I got my other tray breaded, and I'll be right back. Okay, so it's time to add these into the oven. It's at 450. And I'm just thinking in this moment that my oven mitts are upstairs. So I'm going to grab those, but not before giving the soup a little stir. It smells really good. Smells like onions. And just because I'm going upstairs for a minute, I'm going to turn the oven off, or the stovetop anyways, and just remove this from the heat. Ugh. So it doesn't overboil on me. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I tidied up a little bit, put the pot back on high, and it immediately boiled right over. So good thing I was here for that. Cleaned up the mess. I'm putting it back on high. And the potatoes, they're looking good. They're not ready to turn over by any means. And I'm just going to keep the oven closed. And I'm going to chop up the bok choy. I hear the soup making noise like it's going to start boiling and overflowing. Like, you know, that thundering sound before a storm? That's like what I'm feeling like this pot is doing. It's also really hot because the element is big like this. I guess it's intended to go on this element. I'm still figuring out this stove. I don't know about you. I don't like to overthink the size of pots and elements. I like the good old traditional stove that has like too small and too large, you know, and in between those 4 elements, you make it work. So I didn't notice this before, but I think the circle on the left is a bit smaller. So I'm going to move my pot over. So I'm going to turn, I think, this one on high and move my pot here. That way my handles aren't getting hot. Okay, so this time for real, I'm going to chop up the bok choy. So bok choy, if you've never chopped it up before, it's pretty easy to chop up. Some people, they just put the whole thing in their soups or whatever. They'll break it off. What I think I'm going to do, though, is just chop off the end piece because I feel like those pieces are on the frozen side. These bigger top pieces, I'm gonna leave. No, I'm not gonna leave. I was thinking about leaving them big, but I'm not going to. I love going to Asian restaurants in particular where it's like you get to pick like all the vegetables that you want to put in, and then they bring the broth for you. There's different kind of broths that they offer, and then you get to add like all the veggies on your own. And I used to be afraid to add things like, you know, bok choy or spinach to a soup. But those experiences taught me it's okay. It's just what it looks like. Obviously, it doesn't hold its shape. It smells really good. So basically, when my soup is like ready, probably I'd say halfway when my noodles are ready, I'll add the bok choy. They cook pretty much instantly. I might even add them right at the last minute, like just before like the noodles are officially ready. So I'm gonna get my noodles together, and I'm just noticing, look, I turned on the wrong element. So it's this one here. So okay then. So the potatoes are looking good. I feel like it's time to flip them. They're making all kinds of alien noises. I don't know if you can hear. You hear that? It's the sound of the water coming out, I guess. So I'm just going to flip these. Whoop. And I don't want my soup here to boil over on my potatoes. No way. Everything happens at once in the kitchen. So here's my soup. It's at a full boil officially. I should probably put less water in the pot to help out with this, or use a taller pot. So I basically want to find balance between cooking the potatoes and the noodles. I think the secret is in the onion. If the onions are cooked, then you know the rest of the stuff is. It smells phenomenal. So if I was cooking this for like 6 hours or something, I would just keep it on low. But the idea is to eat it like as soon as possible. So I've got my lid on. It's on 6. And I feel like it's okay. It's not going to overboil. So I'm just going to get back here to turning my potatoes over. And some of the potatoes, they're thinner and they're kind of starting to burn. Some of the thicker potatoes, they could have probably stayed longer. But that's okay. That's okay. At the very end of it, if I need to leave, oh, yeah, I'm just going to take this off like this and put it on 5. Okay. And in this moment, I just want to take my sponge and get the worst of that off. I really like to clean as I go. I don't like big messes. So yeah. So I think in like a worst case scenario, if I needed to, you know, take some potatoes out earlier and leave some in there, that's okay. And I think too, it might be nice for some of the thinner, like crispier burnt potatoes, if you will. Like some of them I think are ready now. It might be nice just to even put those right in the soup, you know, kind of like a little chip cracker or something. Okay, so if memory serves me correctly, this one is going to go on the top. I like to rotate things. And this one is going to go on the bottom. So whenever I rotate things, I rotate stuff like from the top to the bottom, and I turn it right around. And if I have something on the top shelf, I put it on the bottom shelf. If I have something in the front, I put it with the things and switch it with things in the back. I feel like my soup is doing a lot better now. 5 seems to be the magic number. So now what I'm going to do is get my spaghetti and break it up into little pieces. So I'm going to add maybe like half a bowl's worth of noodles. And this is just making me think back to my childhood. We used to get Lipton noodle soup every now and then in the box. And then at some point we started adding more noodles, and we would do it with this method here. And it had to be spaghetti noodles. It was like forbidden to add any other noodles to it. I'm wondering if you can relate. And I could leave these noodles big, but I don't want to. I want it to be like small. And I'm not overthinking the size. I'm just breaking them away. So I'm going to do that and be right back. So I got my pasta, and usually, for what it's worth, I don't like putting pasta in the soup or rice unless I'm going to be eating it that day, because the noodles and the rice, you know, they absorb the liquid. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And I'm really hungry for soup, so I'm probably going to eat like 2 bowls of this, and maybe even have another bowl later tonight. Yesterday I got into the chocolate bars, and I thought, you know, why am I eating this junk? Why am I eating this crap? It's nice to have it, but I could have had like a bowl of soup or something like that. That's a healthier choice. So I'm wondering about you. And yesterday with the lentil patties, the leftovers that I had, I transformed them into patties. I put them in the freezer just as an experiment, because I thought, you know what, maybe if I'm having like burgers or something like that, I could pull those out, or just as a side dish, something quick to grab. And I'm also just interested in general how they freeze, you know. So we'll see. And it's nice to have some stuff pile up in the freezer for those days that you don't feel like cooking. But the struggle is real, always trying to find balance, right? Let me know if you can relate.